What's up, y'all? Welcome. Listen to this. Freestyle it. Seasons change, the seasons come and go. But when the seasons change, we don't know who will be or if we'll be underneath the things we see around. Freestyled. It's alright. It's all good. It's alright. It's good. It's okay. What's up, y'all? I sing, bro. I make some music. You don't think I do it? Hang out, you know, what's up? We got a fourth of us in the Image Clothing Company music. So here's the big thing, yo. This is in the Image Clothing Company podcast. Welcome to your radio show. That's how I'm entering this so far. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is episode 173 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled Nothing Changes When the Seasons Do. Today's the 27th of October, 2025. I was outside, brother, in the cold tonight. And it was cold tonight. The car said 38 degrees Fahrenheit last I checked when I was getting out of the car, getting home from where I was. And I was outside for at least a couple hours, good 2-3 hours. And it was, probably right around 40 degrees Fahrenheit at least. It was, pretty cold. It's Utah, United States of America. Look, Moab, Utah, the shirt says. Hey, what's up, right? Where we're based, as in the Image Clothing Company, and, we get real solid cold winters. I'm talking like 0 degrees Fahrenheit and maybe even lower at times, but I don't get so used to it, usually. I don't normally get all that used to it. I don't like the cold so much. I've been here in Utah my whole life, and I love the summers. I love the warmth, and I've never been such a fan of the cold. And that's not something I need to be like, trying to shy away from, the cold weather. It just comes. And that's the point. We'll do this. I'm not going to do it how I do it a lot of the time, at least up until now. We'll talk about it when and if we do each of the 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company and where clothing sits. But I'm just going to just get on into this as I am now. I mean, I'm just going to keep flowing. And then if I throw the intro, if you will, in somewhere, then I throw it in somewhere, probably toward the end. That'll probably be how we do this. And maybe moving forward, that might be how these are usually. Maybe. Okay. It works like that. It does. It works both ways. Okay? Times and places, as I say. But that's the big thing, man, is there's times and places for things. And things don't just change because the seasons do. But here's the big thing. I'll mention this. In the Image Clothing Company podcast, this is where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, okay? AKA the truth of all things. This is 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company. And what I do here is speak on the wisdom that I have acquired over my 26 years of being on this earth as a human being. All right? And, I know some things. I really do. And I've been through a lot of seasons, man. We go through a lot of seasons in life. A lot of people go through a lot of seasonings and spice when they're making things. And that's what life is. It's just something that we've made. There's something that has been made through us. We just go through life and we go through things. Wow. Talk about the wordplay. Did I mention I'm a lyricist? I mean it. Seriously. No joke. In the Image Clothing Company music. One of our fourths. But no, in all seriousness, without being less serious than I am in the times when I'm being more serious than others. No matter what season it is, nothing really changes. That's what I mean, And that's the thing we got to realize with life as we go through seasons. And we can look at it like this, legitimately. First of all, there's 4 sides to In the Image Clothing Company. There's 4 seasons in a year. Spring, summer, fall, winter. We're currently in fall here in Utah. And, man, I feel like this is a whole different kind of way to approach this. I haven't had anything to drink in like 24 hours. Not all that uncommon for me in times and places. In seasons, if and where, right? I mean, again, it's just what it is, man. I was also outside in the cold. I just barely came in, like, within 10 minutes before starting to film this, I came back in the house from being out there in the cold. So I just, I know how it is. I know how it is. I know how it is to play some guitar. I'm going to play some more guitar. I don't know why. We'll get into this. We're in it. We're doing it. We're here. Man, there's this idea of seasons. I'm gonna set Little Red the guitar down because life is about seasons, and we have a lot of different seasons in our life, And I just know sometimes people don't know who we are, and maybe we're not acting as we have been in other times in our past, and maybe we're just kind of going through a season. The whole thing is with the earth and the fact that there's 4 sides to In the Image Clothing Company and 4 seasons to just our life as human beings on this planet God made for us. Yeah, I mean, we're all human beings. The same thing. Designed by one God, Jesus Christ, in his image. This earth we have goes through 4 seasons a year. And, sometimes the same things that we've experienced in a certain season, like actually like spring, summer, fall, and winter type season, don't seem the same in other seasons. I mean, you can be somewhere in the summertime and you know that place pretty well. And maybe you come back in the winter and let's say you've been there a whole bunch of times, a lot of times. You visited this place, you spent a lot of time here in the summers. But now that it's winter, the place looks entirely different. You feel like you're in a whole different landscape. You feel like the whole feeling of the place has changed, but the place hasn't. Just because the season did. And this is how we are in our lives, where nothing changes just because the seasons do. Us as human beings, we don't have to put down our guitars. I feel like I need to play more guitar. That's the whole thing about the idea of seasons. One of the things for sure, I'm a musician, brother, and there's been seasons in my life where I have played so much music. I've made so much music. I've sang, I've rapped. There's been other times in my life where I haven't really made any music at all. And then playing instruments, that's the same thing, not only, vocally through lyricism and all that I do with that and singing and, I'm emotional with this because I was saying, I mean, we have Metronome Madness as one of the things on In the Image Clothing Company music where I do a lot of lyricism off the top, rhythm and poetry, spoken word, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ, just giving deep insights on things through, poetry, off tempo, and just kind of, I speak it as I do, I feel like I know I look like and I feel like a different person in a lot of different seasons in my life. And a lot of people, if they've only met me within a certain season, they might not have any idea who I was. But then I say that phrase, and maybe one day I'll make it an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Still a kid. And always. I'm just the same kid that I was when I was a kid, but I'm in a different season of my life now. And maybe I just look a lot different. I have a beard or I don't. I have short hair or long hair. I'm dressing a certain way or I'm dressing a completely different way. Maybe I'm kind of speaking in a different type of, I don't know if you want to say accent, but like, the way that I approach speaking might seem a little bit different at times, depending on where I am in my own life or what season I'm in. But underneath all that, it's still me. It's still little old Evan Strong, the same little kid that was sitting there loving moose and bear, and wild animals and camping as a little 4-year-old kid. I mean, I was just a little 4-year-old kid sitting there, man, in the mountains here in Utah. And I remember that, because we've got photographs of it too. I can look at it and look back and be like, that is me. And sometimes it's hard to see that kind of person in us, because we're in a different season in our life when maybe we don't like the season so much. It's like what I'm saying. We don't have to look at winter the way that we could look at winter. If you're like me and just, currently and up until now, I haven't really appreciated winter all that much. I'll say it like that because there's so much to appreciate in winter. But I haven't been so fond of it. A lot of times I could go through the winters just reminiscing on the summer and waiting for it to come again. And that doesn't need to be how it needs to be for us. Check that phrasing out. It doesn't need to be how it needs to be. Wow. That's really how it is with seasons in our lives, is we don't have to look at a season in our life like, hey, can I please just wait until another season comes around that was so similar to the one that I loved so much? But we're always only now. Always, only, and ever. One eternal round. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, but also God's course. God is now. He's instantaneous, always, and forever, meaning yesterday, today, as well. On both ends, and all of them, he's here and now. God, the truth of all things, Jesus Christ, our Creator. Whoa, I did not mean to do that, seriously, with Red the guitar just then. But yeah, nothing really changes just because the seasons do. Just because you've been to this beautiful place so many times in the summer, with snow on it, it's still the same place, even if it looks different, even if it feels different. You're not smelling the same smells as the fresh wildflowers and the pollen in the air, It's not the same temperature, and you might be shivering instead of, voluntarily out there in just a t-shirt. Now you've got like 4 layers of clothing on, trying to stay warm. But it didn't change. The location didn't. Your experience in the ways that it doesn't have to change. It doesn't have to change. But the season changed. And this is how our life is we can look at things that we have gone through in the past as if they're an entirely different thing because we're in a different season. We're seeing things differently. We're understanding things differently. We feel like we're a different person a lot of the time when that is false. You're just you. Only, ever, and always. You're just you. That's it. God's creation. As you are. Created by the great I am. He doesn't change. God is no less there for you in your hardest, most depth of struggling than he was for you when you felt like you were at your deepest devotion, the closest to God. You felt like you were being guided in ways that you did not understand, but you knew it was happening. Although now, you feel like you're in a different season. And you're thinking, maybe God isn't quite as close now, because I don't feel like he is. But really what we feel like is we aren't as close to God. And a lot of times we feel like it's our fault. And a lot of times we feel like we get ourselves into seasons of our life, and then we start to question it. Like, did I do the right thing then? But on the other end, a lot of times we get into things in our life that we never could have planned or expected, and we definitely didn't want. And it's a season, not how it is. Because the place that you're in the wintertime is just the season. It's not actually the experience of this location. Because experiencing it in the summertime is entirely different, but the place isn't. How does that work? This is the whole thing about the paradoxical gospel of Jesus Christ, meaning the backward good news of God. That's literally how you would translate that. Okay? It means the same thing. I said it two different ways. And a lot of times we feel like we're in two different kinds of a place when we're just in one place. But it's a different season. And what's crazy about this is underneath all the things, that's what I say, right? The space in between. We're looking at this and we're looking at that. And you got two sides to things. Or you just look right down the center on this straight and narrow path to eternal life back to Jesus Christ. And there's everything else on your left and your right. And if we can look at the space in between, nothing ever changes. The seasons do, though, you know? I mean, the seasons of what people talk about in life change. We can call them fads, hobbies. Well, yeah, you can call them hobbies too, yeah. Trends, though, you know, all these things that change. And for a season, it's like, this is the biggest thing going on right now. And it seems like this is just kind of how it is now. This is just how the world is, everybody, in like 2020. Yikes. Around that time. You know if you know, and look it up if you don't. Holy. That's not our life and our existence as human beings. That was a season. And boy, was it rough. And there's similar things like that. You know, the Great Depression. There's a certain time in the 1900s, I think it was like 1920s. Don't quote me on it, but around, you know, mid to early 1920s, give or take, maybe. I might not quite be right about those dates exactly, but there was this time called the Great Depression, where, at least here in the United States of America, I know from learning about it in my younger years, you know, a lot of people just were in a state where there just wasn't access to many resources. And there was a lot going on where people weren't getting paid much. And the economy wasn't doing well. And people just couldn't really live the same kind of lives they did before. But that wasn't how it actually was. That was a season. It's like the field that you see in the summertime with the butterflies and the flowers and the greenery, the foliage, the wildlife coming through with like a spring in its step. You got these beautiful white-tailed deer just like dong, dong, you know, bouncing across the open plains on the top of some mountain here in Utah. Serious. I mean, I've experienced this stuff, you know. Yeah. You know, I used to go off-roading all the time. That's what I called it, off-roading. I feel like that's kind of a weird thing to say now that I understand things better than I did in the past. That's what we would call it, but, you know, just driving a vehicle that's fairly capable to go on trails or roads that are not paved. You know, and I've been up on the tops of mountains here in Utah and seen just beautiful meadows up there. Yeah. Shoot. And it's no different when it's snowing. Although I'm not going to be going up there in the same vehicle when it's snowing. I'm not going to be up there enjoying the experience the same as I did in the summertime when it was nice and warm and everything was green and lush, as I will be able to when it's wintertime and there's like 3-4+ feet of snow up there. And not many animals around. They're trying to just kind of hunker down and survive through the winter. There's basically no greenery. All the leaves are off the trees. Everything seems kind of dead and dry. And sure, it's dry in the summertime. It's a desert. But it's different. It's a cold, ironically wet, dry. With snow around, but the air's so dry. Kind of seems like a barren wasteland. In the wintertime, the same beautiful meadow with a beautiful, gorgeous view over the valley when you're on top of a mountain. And everything seems so lively and happy and peaceful and loving and energetic and stimulating. There's noises and scents and just so much going on. A lot you can see. And, you know, a lot of stuff that maybe you don't want so much. Mosquitoes flying around. But that's the thing is, you miss both the things that you love and the things that you really don't like so much when the season changes. Because the winter comes around. In that same place, you're missing all the things you loved about it. The sun down on your skin that's not now covered with, so many layers. In the summer, you don't have to wear all the layers. And you can actually feel the breeze blowing on you. And you feel like you're actually in the place that you're at and you want to be there. It's like a tactile experience. But then in the winter, it's like you're like shielding yourself from the very place that you love so much. But it seems entirely different because it's winter. And it's not summer when you went there to enjoy it. In the winter, maybe you go there to try to enjoy it and you're like, all right, can we get back in the car now? Can we go back home now? Can we go start a fire or get inside somewhere with like heat? Shelter. You don't want to be out there in the snow and the blizzard. But it's the exact same location that you do all that you can do to spend as much time as you can in when it's summertime. But you don't only miss the good things, like I'm saying, from the summertime with all the stuff that you remember loving about the location. But you also miss those mosquitoes. Because even though they're annoying and they'll give you little bites and suck some of your blood, because that's what they live on, as they're flying around and they're buzzing next to your ears and it's annoying in the summertime. In the wintertime, when it's dead quiet and all the animals are just kind of hibernating or just not so active. In the winter, kind of like us, not so active in the winter. It's harder. Our joints don't want to move as well because our body has a harder time just regulating its only normal body temperature, right? The human body's only normal, like we talk about under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. There's only a normal, and it's harder to regulate the farther away from the normal we get. Remember what I said about 2020? There's a lot of things in our lives that get so far away from what we would consider our normal, right? What we're used to. And it feels like we're in a season that we don't like. When we're in the exact same location in our life. And that can be hard for us to deal with. Yeah. I mean, just like those mosquitoes, sometimes we miss the things that bug us the most, and the times when we just feel like we really have so much less than we did then. In the summertime, it's like, man, if I just didn't have these mosquitoes, everything else is great. But then in the wintertime, it's like, is there anything alive around here? Is there anything going on? It's like you'd almost, it's like I'd kill for just like a mosquito flying around by my ear, so I know that there's some life existing. If nothing else, at least, a mosquito. Even though I don't like them all that much. They're a nuisance. This is how we are in our lives, as we go in seasons where there's certain people that we don't want in our lives at all at certain times. Because we've got other people that we'd rather spend more time with. But maybe some time goes by and the people that we wanted to spend so much time with just aren't around, or we can't get access to them. They don't want to spend time with us. Or maybe we're going through something with them and we don't want to actually spend time with them anymore in that time. Things happen. Seasons come and go 4 times a year, man. I'm serious, And so then in that season now where, the people that you were spending all this time with aren't there to spend time with for whatever reason. There's a person or people who you were just doing nothing else but trying to push out in moments because you had better people to be around in that season. And now it's like you do whatever you could to just have that person or those people next to you. Because you're in a different season where now you feel like you need something that they were asking from you. And you didn't give. And now you want to ask it from them, but you feel wrong about it. It's like the mosquitoes. It's like, I know in the summertime I was all upset with you mosquitoes, but now it's like dead quiet. But shoot, is that really right of me to ask for those mosquitoes or something like that to just be buzzing around for me to feel okay? I mean, there's just different seasons in our lives, We get perspectives and perceptions, and that's what I mean. There's only truth. Your perceptions don't matter. That goes for you, him, her, and Evan Strong, all of us. Truth is truth. The truth is nothing changes when the seasons do. The truth is you're still in the same location. The truth is you're still the same person with the same needs. Not the things that you want that you could label as needs, that change in times. But us as human beings, we always have the same needs, and they're very simple. Life is very simple. It can be very hard, but it's very simple. Simple doesn't mean easy. It means simple. And life is very simple. It's always been simple. And life has always been hard. And that's the truth. The truth is life is simple. Underlying all the seasons, there's always just the simplicity of life. In the summertime, you and I and everyone, as well as every animal and every living thing that has to eat something to live, has to eat something to live. That's the truth. And it doesn't change in the wintertime, but it just looks different. It's a different season. Things work differently. You've got so many bugs flying around in the summertime. And the birds are eating those bugs. You've got a lot of animals scurrying around the ground that the predators, like the bear, coyote, here in Utah, wolves, where we've got them, need to eat. But in the wintertime, everything still needs to eat in the ways that it does, but it's just a different season. So things happen differently. Things change seasonally, but nothing really changes. The birds might fly south, where it's not as cold for the winter, but nothing actually changed underneath, just the season. Those birds still have to eat. They still live the same lives that they did in the summertime, but the summer changed to winter. I mean, everything just still does its thing. Life goes on, but the seasons sure change. But nothing changes underneath. Truth is still truth. God is still God. Right? I mean, that's it, man. God is the same. The same yesterday, today, and forever. God is the same in the wintertime, in the depths of the cold, when you feel like there's nothing happening and everything's died except for you, and you're just trying to see how long you can survive, and maybe, possibly, you'll get a bud or two in the springtime. If it ever comes back again. But really, the truth is, underneath all that snow, the same plants that are so blossoming and blooming in the summertime and the springtime and when it's warm outside and everything's flourishing and green and luscious, they're there, dude, underneath all the snow, underneath all the cold, underneath their thick bark to protect them from the weather. The trees are just as alive inside as they are in the summertime, and they just show it outside of them through green leaves growing from them and flowers and blossoms coming off of them. But it's the same thing in the winter as it is in the summer. It's the same always. But the seasons change over the top of what's going on underneath. Yeah. This is how we are as human beings. That's what I was saying toward the start of this more That little Evan Strong, who was like 4 years old in some of these photographs that are around the house, and, I can look at, and we can look back to see me as an infant little baby who was coming out of the womb and, had to be rushed to heart surgery pretty soon. I mean, seriously, a little kid, little me is the same me as the one who's trying to speak right here to the people who might hear if they like to. And if you don't like to, too. The truth is, underneath all this is just who we are. Underneath everything is just what it is, and nothing changes when the seasons do. I feel like I'm filming an episode of Metronome Madness because I'm rhyming through a lot of this. Because even when we season things differently, at different times in our lives, I mean, you're still you. You're still just eating food. I mean, I want to make this as real as it is because nothing actually changes in life. There's only truth, and underneath all of everything is always still the same as what was there before. Because it's not just a past tense, was there before, it's still there. But things on top are changing. I mean, sometimes buildings are built. And the same ground that the first building was built on, that got demolished for a new building to come up in its place, is still there. Those buildings are always built on the same foundation, the same rock of the earth. But one gets demolished after a season closes or ends, and a new season comes in, and somebody builds a building to go along with the new seasonal change until the season will change again. And they'll build another building in place of that one after they knocked it down. And it's all happening on the same foundation. Nothing changes when the seasons do. This is the whole thing about things come and go. This is the whole thing about the only thing that we have. An episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, it's our bodies. What was I saying? I'm not asking as if I forgot. I'm trying to jog a memory or two from you, dude. The same kid that I can look at in these photographs, videos, whatever it is, as a little boy, young kid, single-digit ages, Evan Strong, is the one speaking right now. I'm the same person. But there's been a lot of seasons between now and then. Really between then and now. Really, it doesn't matter which end you go from. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. God is that space in between. God is the unchanging thing, the eternal being. This seriously is turning into an episode of Metronome Madness. I was actually thinking about it. I'm on episode 35 would be the one that I film next of Metronome Madness. When I was driving home, I'm like, is that what I'm filming? And then I prayed through it and I sat down here and here we are. It's actually an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, but there's a lot of rhyming in this, and that's what I mean is I'm the same me on any four sides of In the Image Clothing Company, but a lot of times I approach it a little bit differently. I speak differently, at a different cadence, or I rhyme or I don't. I'm very, very bold, or I'm very, very, soft-spoken. But underneath I'm the same me, and there's just seasons on top. Like, whoa, wait, whoa. Too much pepper, too much paprika, too much, whatever it is, See what I mean? We season life with things. And we go through seasons as well. And the seasons always leave. Even when we're sitting in a jail. This seriously is like an episode of Metronome Madness. I love it. That's what I do. This is very similar to just about exactly how Metronome Madness is a lot of the time. Okay. But you're the same you when you're on top of things in life as you are when you're sitting in whatever you could label as your jail cell. Maybe you never actually get, legally convicted into a jail. But there's a lot of jails in life. A lot of things we could consider like that. An imprisonment where we're locked into something or out of something, or we feel like we're stuck somewhere in some way like that. We all know that in the ways that we do. And you're no different in life, truly, even if it's hard to see, is no different in those moments than it is when you're at whatever time in your life you feel the most free. Sometimes we feel like we're on top of the world. We feel like we couldn't be knocked off of our high horse, And then other times we feel like we don't even know how to get off the ground. We feel like we're just so beaten and bruised and tattered and torn up that we're just, left for the dogs and the vultures to pick off what's left from us. And we feel like there's not much. And there's just ends of things in life in all the ways that there is. There's opposition in all things. That's how anything exists. And really, the truth is, nothing changes when the seasons do. I'm still the same me and you're still the same you. And underneath all these things that we pile on top and stack to the ceiling, the things we add to our life, right? They always leave. I mean, that's the big thing about it. There's a lot of big things about things. You hear me saying that often, It's like, and that's the big thing about it. And that's the point. And I made like 8 points already before then. It's like, yeah, sure. They're all points. Like, this is good stuff. That's what I mean is the only thing that we have, the human body. Everything that you add to your life or leaves your life either adds to your life or leaves to your life. And what does that sound like? Leaves. Oh, wait, hold on. The wintertime, the leaves leave. Talk about 2 words twice, or 1 word 2 times, actually, is all that was. Yeah. In the wintertime, the leaves go away. But they come back in the spring. There's been times in my life where a lot of things have gone away and then kind of come back later. There's just seasons in life. And legitimately, actually, seriously, the truth is, underneath all of it, nothing changes. Except we grow. Sometimes. Well, guess what? The trees, as they're progressing skyward, they grow through the seasons. The leaves come and go, but the tree still grows in the unchanging soil, in the unchanging atmosphere, meaning it's still there, regardless of if it changed or what. The truth is truth. The truth is still there. The truth is always and forever. The truth is God, the same yesterday, today, and forever. The truth is we go through seasons, and underneath it all, we're still breathing. No joke. I mean, seriously. It's not a joke, but I'm rhyming a lot through this. This is not normally how I, at least up until now, have approached in the Image Clothing Company podcast episodes, with quite this many rhymes throughout it. But yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. Nothing changes. I'm still just delivering information. Even though I'm sitting here and the words that I'm saying, you're hearing by the rhymes that I'm making as I'm going across this. I'm crossing it off my list as one of the first episodes of this in the Image Clothing Company podcast where I've gone this long rhyming like this, and sometimes not all that fast. And other times I'm on a speedboat trying to go quicker than I can. So I trip a bit and need to get back on my feet. Because there's seasons to things. And 1 minute I'm on top of my high horse and I'm sitting here like I got it all figured out. And then the next minute, I need someone to help me figure it out because I don't know what I'm doing. But underneath it all, nothing changed. And God knew everything through all the seasons. when they were just fluctuating. Because nothing changes when the seasons do. God is still God to me and to you. I mean, this is for real. Shout out to Dr. Seuss. Elementary rhymes. But I was in elementary, right? In elementary school, like rhyming as an assignment. I mean, the teacher's like, okay, what rhymes with cat? Bat, and that might be the extent of all that I know that rhymes with that word. So here you go. You turn in your assignment. And now, I'm a person who really works with words really well. But I'm still the same kid. I didn't change, but the season did. And I just got deeper in it. Just like the trees get deeper into, and that's a little bit paradoxical. Check it out. The truth of all things, the paradoxical gospel of Jesus Christ, is the truth of all things, right? Trees get deeper into the atmosphere of our earth as they go up. We think about deep as being down, almost always. Well, guess what? What goes up must come down. I'm not making some kind of thing. This is the truth of all things. This is the gospel of Jesus Christ. The trees can only go up because they also go down. The roots grow down, and the top of the tree grows up. Each season that goes by, the tree might be a little bit more dormant at times, and other times it's like shooting for the skies, trying to rise. But regardless, nothing changed just because the seasons did. The tree went from being a little kid to being a big old redwood in the forest. And now all of a sudden his perspective is distorted because he's looking around trying to measure himself to anything else he can see. And it doesn't matter if he's above or beneath. Check this out. Because you're growing either way. You got a tree that only grows a few feet tall, but the roots beneath go hundreds of feet out or down. You look at it from the top, you think this tree isn't growing. But little do you know, all the way around this place, you got roots shooting out and other trees coming up from the same plant that was initially placed in the ground. I mean, this is no joke. Nothing changed, but the seasons did. That tree's still placed in the same dirt. The tree's still just as alive as it always was if it's living. But throughout all this, there's dormant times, and then there's times of rapid growth. There's times of not all that much sun, and then so much sun that you boast to your friends on the other side of the earth that you'd have to travel to in a boat to try to show your situation until the times are changing, or the seasons at least. And now we're doing some things through the technologies, and we can show people things clear across the seas without having to leave. Nothing changed, but the seasons did. The same things are still happening, whether you know it or not. But let's get real with this. A lot of the time, our knowledge of things happening makes us think that things have changed so much. There's so much that's just going on behind the scenes. A lot of people are doing stuff, maybe, not so great. Maybe it's involving you and you didn't even know about it. But it's been going on for a long time. And all of a sudden you find out and it's like, everything's different now. Everything's changed. I can't believe you guys have been doing this behind my back. It's not the same anymore. It's the exact same as it's been. They've been doing this to you. And that's not all that great to hear, but sometimes it happens. People talking behind your back, scheming behind your back in whatever way they're doing it. And you think just, once you found out about it, everything has changed. Nope, it's all different now. It's changed. No, everything changed. No, nothing changed, but the season did. Now, in this season, you're aware of what's been going on. But the truth has been there the whole time. There's only truth, always, only, and ever. God, the same, yesterday, today, and beyond time. Because before we made these man-made clocks and started to schedule our lives around like to the minute appointments, people still lived on the same earth. It still was governed by the same time, but they didn't know it second to second. They knew it, day to day. They'd follow the sun through the sky. You probably knew about what hour it was, but they weren't sitting there with their, tens of, like the decimal places, right? It's like 1 second, 0.001, 0.000001, and, 0.00002, and like, you're counting up from like second to second, and you're breaking it down into tens and hundreds of seconds and, thousands of seconds, and we get so crazed over things, but this is just a season. It's always been just, there's 24 hours in a day. But in modern day, it seems like we have less time than we ever have had as human beings on this earth. Oh my good gravy. And people are like freaking out about stuff a lot of the time because it's like, there's just not that much time anymore, It's harder nowadays to just make time for people. It wasn't like this before. Well, that's not quite true. In ways, yeah, the seasons have changed, and it's harder to schedule things now than it used to be in ways and in places on the earth. But the truth is, just because the seasons have changed, nothing actually changed about the amount of time there is in a day. There's always only and ever 24 hours in a day. Unless there's like some kind of leap day or whatever, however that's supposed to work. But even that, there's only truth. The earth is still just going around the sun the same as it was before people even calculated time. Time was still there. But then we got into these seasons of focusing on things more than we did in other seasons. And we think things have changed so much. No, nothing changed. Not really. Not really. Nothing changed. Nothing changes just because the seasons do. And we could get, discussing this in any kind of way on all sorts of ends of whatever and who cares, but whether anybody did or didn't, I'd still either say it or I wouldn't. And I could get all the seasons of people loving what I said or people absolutely despising what I said. And regardless, nothing changed. I said what I said. Maybe there's seasons of people ramping and roaring up over what I did say or didn't. Or maybe loving it at times. And those are seasons. Those are things that we can believe in. And those are the things that we'll be leaving. As in, they'll be leaving. Goodbye, spring. It's fall again. And then we're falling in to this trap of thinking that life has changed so much. Didn't it used to be so warm? What happened? Oh, well, winter came. Just wait for a while. Summer will come back around in a couple more seasons. Nothing changes just because the seasons do. But the seasons definitely do. And boy, will they. And so we need to know what won't change. Because we've got to have something that we can depend on when there's a lot of things that we can't. Yeah. And really everything is what we can't. Meaning there is nothing except one thing that we actually can depend on. And that's God. And God is anything that's true. God is the earth that all those buildings were built on. And each season came and all the buildings changed and the ground that they're built on didn't. It's still underneath them. It's still in the same location on the planet. It's still the truth. That's God. God is, in any of these hypotheticals that I said within this, those things that we always come back to when the same season we were missing comes around again. And it seems like it was gone, but it was just sitting underneath everything else. The space in between. God is the truth of all things. And there's only truth, or else there's nothing. Because there's opposition in all things, or else nothing exists. And so the truth is, everything has to have an opposite. Or else there'd be no way to sit. If I wasn't here taking a stand over things. Do you see what I mean? I'm not kidding about, like, this. You know? I've been given a big gift to be able to explain things the way that I do. Yup. And that's the thing about gifts, is they're meant to be used. And regardless of how I'm using my gift of speaking and relaying things and maybe I'm delaying the promptings I get from God to stop and speak a little bit to somebody who might need something that I could deliver to them. If I use the gift of working with all these words that are in my head, or even words that I have never said, but if I sit down and do all that I can to let the Spirit of God lead me, not to try to get people to believe things, but to just speak the truth to the elderly, the middle-aged, and the youth. It doesn't matter on either end. If I decide to use the gift or not, the gift is a gift, and it's from who? God. The unchanging. When all the seasons do. In my life, when I've tried to hold back all the things that I have to say to people because of whatever reason I could think. And it's usually because I don't think that we're equal. I think that they're going to look at me like I'm lesser. Like, who are you trying to give me some lecture? Thinking you know what's better for me, dude. And I see through what you're trying to do. A lot of people trying to tell me a lot of things in life. People trying to tell me, right? Wait, what? So you're telling me something about how people are telling you something. This is what I mean is, there's seasons in life where I went for a lot of my life, speaking a lot of beautiful messages, just where I felt that I needed to. Self-proclaimed beauty, cool. It's in the eye of the beholder. And I'm the one beholding myself. Wow. That is real. This is what I mean. This is real. This is the truth of all things, the gospel of Jesus Christ. Anything that we can speak that lines up with being right. And who sat on the right hand of the Father? It was Jesus Christ, the one who came to be our perfect example. Okay. And what he didn't do is delay using the gifts he was given from God. Even though he went through a lot of seasons in life and a lot of trials, right? Jesus Christ was perfect, and he went through everything and anything and all things. Gosh, man, I mean, and despite anything he ever went through, he's still, or in spite of, I guess, right? Anything he went through, he still used his gifts from God. He still healed the sick and the blind and the lame and the people in need, because he always was God underneath. And if we forget who we are, his sons and daughters, if we forget who we really are underneath, that little kid that I was, talking about earlier throughout this, the little 4-year-old me, who loved the mountains and loved, just kind of screaming and being loud and rambunctious when I was, before I got so worried about it. Through all the seasons I went through in my life, That's what I do a lot of the times. I sit here and I kind of just scream, But it's beneficial because I was speaking good stuff to people, man. And you don't got to care, but But truth is truth, and underneath all the things and all the seasons, it's like I want to collapse, a lot of the time. I start to slur my words. Because there's so many seasons of what we can think we are, who we can think we are, what we can think we deserve. And a lot of times it's because of who we're around, We get around a certain person or certain people, and all of a sudden we go through this whole season of thinking that we have changed to being something that we are not. We've got this perception of ourselves. Oh, well, check this out. They call stuff seasonal depression, seasonal anxiety, and seasonal debilitating things in whatever way they want to claim. They try to come up with something to make something be something you could believe. And then we neglect the truth that's underneath. All the seasons come and go. It's like, well, I didn't used to have, what do they call it? Seasonal. Oh, they called it seasonal. So it's going to leave at some point. Yeah? Okay. Well, shoot. Well, all right. Right? And then what's the truth? I mean, that's the point, is these things are seasonal. Life is seasonal, and nothing changes underneath just because the seasons do. That is the truth. So before you start to get thinking, hey, maybe I believe what he says, don't believe a single word I say. That's why I say that. Do not believe me. But truth is truth. It doesn't matter if I'm saying it or anyone else. It's just like the same dirt underneath the building is there in the first building that was built in that location, and then through that one's demolishing, and the next one's building, and then that one's demolishing, and the next one's building, and through all those cycles of things, underneath, there's still just the truth. When all the seasons just came and did their thing, nothing actually changed underneath. I mean, this is just life. This is how it is. Nothing changes when the seasons do. Nothing. I was talking about seasoning your food. In all seriousness, you make a recipe, and the recipe is the exact same with all the 15 ingredients in it, although you've added one seasoning that could make the entire thing taste different. It's still the same underneath. There's just one seasoning that you didn't need. Maybe you need it to give you some perspective, to understand, oh shoot, one little tiny thing can wreck this whole beautiful state of being that I made this can of beans into with all the things that I put inside of it. And what you did is choose just one season that you didn't like so much. And that's the thing. We choose. We do choose. We have the ability to choose. Something that I said before jokingly, because God is perfect. But this is funny to kind of say like this, and I kind of see it like this though. In all seriousness, not that I'm trying to oppose God, but I kind of feel like it's ridiculous. He gave us the ability to choose, and there's context with that because I understand why he did. But if he's perfect, why would he give us the ability to choose things? If he just chose everything for us, he'd give us a perfect life. But we wouldn't know perfection unless we knew the opposite end of it. And that's how we can seek God and a higher and holier and a more perfect state of being when we're trying to become more like Jesus Christ, is because we're looking around at this crazy life with all the seasons in it. Right? And so that's what happens, is we choose things in our life sometimes. I mean, kind of. God is all-knowing, and he already knows everything before it'll happen, but sometimes we'll choose things that gets us into a season of some not so good experiences, so that same us that's actually underneath of all the experiences, that are just these seasonings on top of it, right? That same base recipe of whatever meal you made is still there. when you put one season on it that's not so great, right? Nothing actually changed except for the season. This is how life is. And this is what I mean. When I say it's the truth of all things, I mean it like this. I mean anything that's just true is just true. And that's God, the eternal, the perfect, the universal, right? The universe has a name is an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And I, with my hands up right here, I don't care if this sounds mean. Sure, let it be extremely offensive. I've mocked and laughed at people who believe in or trust the universe. Who is that? And what is that? How is it universal when somebody else has an opinion on it that differs? Right? That's not universal. Jesus Christ is who he says that he is. God himself is that being. He's who he says he is. We don't get to say, because he doesn't change. But we go through all sorts of seasons of thinking who God is or isn't, you know? Yeah. And that's ridiculous. You know my story if you know my story. The second time around, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, you know, I was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints since birth. And then I you know, God didn't change, but I went through a season that did, because I chose to change. And I removed my records from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for about 13 months, from February to March, give or take. You know, 2023 to 2024 is what that would have been. Nope, that's not the case. 2024 to 2025. Because it was this year, you know, in March, February, March, right around there. And God didn't change. The truth underneath, like the dirt under all the buildings that come up and go down and come up and go down. I mean, the trees are the same. You know, the dirt doesn't change is the point. And dirt, not in a derogatory sense, but the actual soil of the earth doesn't change underneath the trees that grow or the buildings that get built, you know, and then the trees fall and another tree grows in the same location and the buildings get demolished and another building gets built in the same location. The same soil that those things were on or in, right? The foundation of the building is in the soil. The tree's roots are in the soil. That soil, oh my gosh. I started into this part of this discussion saying, this is what I mean by it's the truth of all things, is even when you're just discussing things, you're just discussing God because it's universal. That's where I was. I didn't know where I was going with this exactly because it was God. Listen to this. Don't believe me on a single thing. But I couldn't make this up. It's the truth. Okay? Within the scriptures, the Holy Bible, there's a parable talking about, you know, a seed that gets cast onto dry ground and it gets scorched up by the sun. It doesn't grow. There's a seed that gets put into soil and watered well at first, but then it doesn't get continuously watered and it doesn't grow. There's a seed that gets placed into some soil, gets watered well, grows, but then the thorns and weeds strangle and entangle it, and it can't continue to grow. But then, out of all those failed attempts, if you will, and any number of what we could say is similar to that, where the seed just didn't continue to grow, we've got a success story where the truth is the same, and the seed is placed into the ground. I know I said in the first one that the seed was just kind of like thrown onto dry ground, but let's, you know, in all the situations, the seed's placed into the same soil, but it's either dry and the seed can't grow. It gets watered just a little bit and then the seed can't continue to grow because it needs more water, as it does. Or it grows some, gets strangled by the weeds surrounding it, and doesn't continue to grow. But if we put a seed in the same soil as all those other examples, yet we continually water it the whole time, it'll grow. And what hasn't changed in any of those situations is the soil the seed was placed in. Like I've been saying throughout this, the buildings were placed in the same soil. The trees, which, yeah, that's what the seed would be, right? Grow in the same soil. But as the seasons come and go, things can happen that don't allow the seed being placed in the same soil of truth. Yeah, that seed can't grow, depending on the seasons. When the truth is, it's in the same soil. You know? I mean, it gets so deep with the words. I mean, how do we speak and understand it? The truth of all things is just there underneath everything else. It doesn't leave. It couldn't possibly. The same yesterday, today, and forever. That's what I mean. That's why I call it the space in between. Everything else goes and comes and comes and goes, and there's still the place for it to come and go too. It's just, there's a space there in between all of the things. Well, it's like that plot of land. That's the space in between all the buildings. The space is there in between the time the building got torn down and the next one got built. It's the space in between. That's what I mean. There's only truth to everything, always, only, and ever. God. Jesus Christ is his name. The universe has a name. It is Jesus Christ. As I said in that episode titled, The Universe Has a Name, of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast. Yeah, no, I mean, this is it. I mean, it's the truth of all things, and it gets deeper than that because, I mean, how can you even speak any words? We talk about soil, just meaning everything has a meaning, or else we wouldn't be speaking. Right? Things are only what they are. There's only truth. And all the seasons change about the slang and the stuff that people say or not. But underneath, we still got to be able to understand each other, or else nobody's going to talk to someone else. You give up. Try to speak to someone who doesn't understand you. It's like, all right, I guess I'm done talking to you. We only can say words because they mean something. Names mean something. Titles mean something. But these things change with the seasons. The same word that at one time meant all happy and joyful, the word gay, that's what that really means. Like having a gay old time is like having a happy, joyous time. And nowadays, people use the word gay as homosexual. Nothing changed of the root meaning of the word. Where do words come from? Where do they root from? Where do they stem from? The same plot of land, of the space in between, all the buildings of what people build up these slang meanings to be. It's the same space in between, that little piece of dirt, the plot of land, where the word rooted from, where that tree grows from. But then that tree falls, and an entirely different tree grows in the same location. Or an entirely different meaning of a word gets used in place of the same root word. There's only truth. Ever, only, and always. That's it. No opinion that I could have. Don't believe me. I'm not saying something. I'm speaking the truth. Weird, huh? There's only truth. I know it's a weird thing because I personally know it's a weird thing. Going from life like, what's going on, to being like, oh, Jesus Christ is the answer, always. He is the truth, the way, and the life. Man, I mean, it's just what it is. Nothing changes when the seasons do, And that's the whole point, is Jesus Christ is the rock of our salvation. I mean, Jesus Christ is the rock of all things. If we build our foundation Again, like all these buildings that come and go and come and go and come and go, they're all on the same foundational earth on this little space, and between all the plots around it, that's what they call it, a plot of land, right? A space of land for something to be built on. Jesus Christ is that plot of land. He never changes. And we can build anything upon him. Beliefs or opinions of who we think he is. Ways to perceive or see him. And regardless, he's still who he is. You can pave a parking lot on the plot of ground. And you can tear it up again. You can put down a field for sports. And you can tear that up. You can put down a building and tear it up. You can put in a wildlife sanctuary. Whatever it is, it's all on the same exact plot of land. And all these seasons of what was on top of this same exact plot of land come and go. And the plot of land is still the same. That plot of land is Jesus Christ. And he doesn't change regardless of the seasons of what religions want to make him out to be, or people's opinions or views, or organizations that they come up with. And so that's when, I talk about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints being the restored truth of God on the earth today. It's not my claim. But you go there and you find the truth. It's like you're going to this plot of land and it's like, man, what is going on here? We just tore up all this concrete. And now we're finding old grass with, like stuff from when there was a field for sports here. And underneath that, there was also, whatever. That's what I mean. There's layers and layers and layers of gunk on top of the truth. It's like leaf litter. That's what they call it. When the leaves fall in the fall time. Again, truth. The truth of all things. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Why do they call it fall? It's really called autumn. The season. But the leaves fall off the trees. So we call it fall. It's truth. It's literal. But it's also metaphoric. The paradoxical gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm not here to preach a religion. I say it and I mean it. I am not religious. Because all the religions that come and go seasonally are placed on top of the truth of all things. How do you get down to what's real? Well, what doesn't leave when the seasons do? Because nothing changes when the seasons do. And what can never change in a world of all this unchanging? Wait, that's funny. I mean, the world's always changing, man. So how are you ever going to know then? Do you follow something? And if you do, is it only going to last for a season? That's crazy because you can follow whatever you want. Any religion, any belief, any person. And it's going to be seasonal if it's not Jesus Christ. You can love a certain season so much. And you can live your whole life gearing it around a certain season. But then your life is only applicable in certain times of the year. I mean, you can only live a life of summertime in the summertime. It doesn't work in the fall time. It doesn't work in the winter time. It doesn't work in the springtime. Because that's just a season. But you can live a life for the earth. And the earth is still the earth. In the summertime. Or the springtime. The fall or the winter. And so the earth is Jesus Christ. The same. Through all the seasons that blow over it, the earth is still there. Truth. How could there be seasons if there was no earth for those seasons to be on? How could there be meanings for a word if there wasn't a word to begin with to have a meaning about? You can try to change a definition of something, but there has to be something for that definition to be changed about. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's the first book of the Bible, the Holy Bible, the book of Genesis. It says that in the very first part of it. Because there's nothing until there's something. And there's always been God. But there hasn't always been fall, because it seems like just last I checked, I was out there playing sports. And it was summer. Except that was a few months ago already. You know, a couple months ago at least. And now I was telling you that I came in here right before this and it was really cold outside. I was like not only shivering, I was shaking out there. It was pretty cold, man. I was experiencing cold. Oh, there you go. You know, the earth was experiencing cold. The truth is, that was just a season upon the earth. The earth's still the same in the summer. The earth's still the same in the winter, the spring, and the fall. But it experiences different seasons. Without the earth leaving or changing, because in order for there to be seasons, there has to be something that is affected by the seasons. We can't have seasons in our life unless we have a life. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled, If You Didn't Exist. That's what I said in there. Basically, nothing would if you didn't. Because there couldn't be seasons if there wasn't an earth. And all the things that we know are just seasonal. And we're the thing that's experiencing it. We don't change just because things around us do. God doesn't change because people's expectations of him do. That's a good way to word that right now, too. That's a beautiful approach to saying that. Because, yeah, God is who God is. You can expect him to do whatever you want him to do, but God is who God is. Like I was saying, all the seasons of anybody that could ever perceive me in any way, I'm only me. And we see this in life, so many people in like the public eye, a celebrity, they'll be loved for a season, like 10, 15, 20 years. Most everybody on the earth that knows about this person just loves them. And all of a sudden, a switch flips, and it goes from summer to fall. And all of a sudden, everybody thinks that they're a terrible person because they did something that somebody didn't like, and then somebody else thought that they wanted to agree with that one person that didn't like something about them, or however it works. All of a sudden, now you got this season of everybody getting so after you for something, but you're the same person. You didn't change. But now there's this season. And it's just a season. Doesn't matter how long it lasts, it's just a season. It's something that wasn't there before. And there has to be something there for a season to come over, right? I mean, we look outside and we're like, oh, it looks like it's about to be more winter time because it's more overcast in the sky. There's more clouds now. Overcast? What are they overcasting? The same earth that didn't change, but the season did. Nothing changes when the seasons do. Anyway, that's where I'll leave this because we can discuss it in any and every end of anything ever. And the whole thing is, like I'm saying, there's no religion ever in life. There is God. There is the creator of all the things that he created. It's got to start somewhere. How could anything be if there wasn't something to begin with? God's always been there. And he doesn't change throughout our seasons of being so grateful for God and all the things that he does for us when we can see it. And then we go to a different season in our life where we think God has abandoned us. But this is the whole thing about it is God is the unchanging that seasons can kind of overcast. God is who he says that he is. And he gives us promises and tells us exactly who he is. And don't believe me on a single thing, but it works. It lines up. It's truth because there's only truth. I mean, I discuss things in a way that just can make sense to everyone because everybody has a body. See what I mean? Again, there's only truth. Where does the word come from? And the point is, bro, we're all designed in the image of Jesus Christ. All right? It's just the truth of all things. Don't believe anything. But where'd you come from? Why do you look like just about everybody else? You know? We got all these seasons of, I said I was done, but who knows? I do this sometimes, right? Say I'm done, and then we got like a whole nother hour of me discussing things further. Maybe, I don't know. But this is good to say because we go through seasons of segregation, thinking that somebody's so different than us. We just go through seasons in all ways of stuff like this, but it always comes back to, well, what's the truth? We're just about all the exact same. Oh, shoot. It doesn't matter. Nothing changes when the seasons do. And I could discuss this in so many ways. And it's all the same thing. And it always comes back to what everything it always comes back to. Because if you go the farthest back, what was the first thing there before any season ever happened that you can go back to? Well, Jesus Christ. In the beginning, he created both heaven and earth and all things that in them are. Everything and everything that is in everything, he created. And he is. And he is those things. Not only just he is, because he is all things. And that's how he is the great I am. There's only God. There's only truth. His name is Jesus Christ. And then there's seasons in our lives where we sometimes get clouded. Again, literal. Where does this stuff come from? How can we use these phrases in life? Because they mean something. Because there's only truth. The truth is there's definitions and roots to words. Okay? Rooted in the truth. Like the tree, rooted in the ground that never changes, regardless what trees pop up and fall down. The trees can be the seasons. Nothing changes when the seasons do. All right? But yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, he was there in the beginning. He created it all, and he is it all. He's all of it. And that's it. And I'm not trying to tell you something. I'm trying to tell you something. Right? I'm trying to point you to something. I'm not trying to tell you something. Do you see what I mean? Because all the seasons of my life where I could have been pointing anybody to anything and it changed all the time, how was I there at all to point anybody to anything? Or anytime I tried to tell myself who I was or tell the other people who I thought that I was, well, it's me that's saying that. And I'm only me, regardless of what season of life I am in, with any opinion that could come up. There's only truth. And that never changes. Never possibly could. But anyway, I don't know if I fully finished what I said when I was talking about, that's where words come from and that's what truth is and that's where things are rooted. And I talked about how it's the gospel of Jesus Christ, the truth of all things. I was saying we can only go back to the first thing. There has to be something first, or else how can you go back to something? I don't know if I finished that thought, then I finish it. If I finished it already, there you go. If I don't remember or don't need to, then there you go too. But that's the whole point, is there's always the ability to come back to something when the seasons change. You know what I mean? I mean, really what happens when we get, like, if you will, back to the season we enjoy the most is we've gotten back to, the Spirit of God being able to dwell within us because we allow him to. And that's really what we're feeling when we feel those good feelings that we say are like the good season. Like how I was discussing summer earlier, and it seems like it leaves when winter comes. Well, that's my view, if you will. Again, there's no such thing as opinions that matter, because that's what I was saying earlier when I was saying, it's not so ideal for me to have a perception or an opinion on like not liking the cold so much, because it's not the truth that cold is not as enjoyable as warmth. Not really. Because there's people who live their whole life for the winter the way that I could potentially live my whole life for the summer. And the truth is, it's just the earth underneath that's going through seasons. It's the same earth no matter what season it is. And you're the same person experiencing this earthly existence no matter what season it is. There's only truth. And sometimes it can get, that's what I was saying. That might have been where I didn't quite finish my thought. Sometimes it can get clouded. Again, it's just literal wording. If you can't see clearly up to the sun because there's clouds, okay, oh my dear Lord, as in literally, my dear Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Like literally is what I mean. Again, even that in itself, as I was explaining how something else is literal, I mean that literally. Listen to this. Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And we can get clouded from the clarity of the truth that Jesus Christ, who is the Son of God, is the creator of all things. It's all literal. Everything that I just said there as I started into this like this is just literally worded. Exact truth. No religion that you could ever possibly even care about in life. There's just God. Jesus Christ is his name. He's the Son, and we can have a clouded view of the truth that there's the sun in the sky when a season of storm clouds covers our view from the truth that there's a sun out there, whether we can see it or not, as it is. Maybe you got a perception on the sun because you're looking through some cloudy view. The sun's still the sun, whether you can see it clearly with nothing between you and it, like any perception or opinion, or if you've got some things clouding your view of the same sun that's there. The truth is the sun's there, but the seasons can come and cloud our view a little bit. This is it, man. This is the truth of all things. I'm not telling you something out of me trying to make something be something. But like I'm saying, I've been given a gift from God to speak well. And that can be expounded upon, the explanation of what I mean, to not only speak words well, but really unpack and deliver information coming from so many different sides. And again, I'm just speaking on the truth because this is episode 173 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, meaning there is 172 episodes before this of context just that I can speak well. I'm not being prideful or boastful. It's a gift from God. I'm just showing you the truth because it's there. You don't have to believe me that I'm good at speaking. And this is what I mean. The reason I say it like that is because, again, you can have seasons of if you perceive anything about me or not, but the truth is I can speak well. I can have seasons of speaking much at all or not, but the truth is underneath that I can still speak well. Or I can have perceptions in seasons of if I can speak well or not, but the truth is I just can. For the sake of it's a gift from God to be able to deliver the truth. It's nothing I could ever decide. Okay? Man. but it's literal. The gospel of Jesus Christ, it is as it is. Jesus Christ, God himself, is who he says that he is. The sun's going to tell you it's the sun regardless of what you want to believe. You step outside, the sun tells you who he is. If we're calling like the actual sun in our sky a he, right? The sun will tell you what it is by you being able to feel the warmth on your skin, or by you being able to see outside because it's illuminated now and it wasn't when the sun was in a season of hiding. Still there exactly as it is, but on the other side of our earth. Again, it's literal. It is the truth of all things. When I say it, I mean Jesus Christ is the truth of all things. Because that's the thing, there's no other way to describe anything besides just, there it is. And your seasons of perceptions and beliefs don't matter. Mine either. I'm not talking down on anybody. I'm saying anybody's ever, always, and only. There's truth, and that's it. And that truth is Jesus Christ. Because Jesus Christ is how we can just explain God. The episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Only Begotten, which, yes, the only begotten Son of the Father, what God did by giving us Jesus Christ, which is God, right? And I explained it in there pretty darn thoroughly, how we can, see what that really is. Not what I want you to see it as. But Jesus Christ is our understanding of God. How we can understand him is what I mean, as human beings. And so that's what I mean as well, is how do you understand something? Well, because it's true. If you want to get a good understanding of something, you find out what that thing actually is. And that's Jesus Christ. The truth in all things, everything and always, only, ever. That's it. The great I am. As in, I am still there underneath the snow, says the dirt of our earth that you can see in the summertime, but when a different season comes and it's covered in leaves, you can't quite see it the same, but it's still there. Nothing changed when the season did. When the snow comes and you can't quite see the soil underneath it, it's still there. Nothing changed when the season did. And then when the springtime comes, that's kind of like our preparation to the unveiling of summer, if you will. And some people like the winter more than summer, like I'm saying, but summer is, pretty well a universal explanation to like a good time, I mean, that's what gets depicted in movies or in, again, it's a depiction. It's like Jesus Christ is our depiction of God. Our depiction of, like a good, happy experience in drawings and movies. And when we would, it's like a summer day, in this one season of life, because that's what most people enjoy the most. But the truth is, whatever season you enjoy or not, life's still life. Nothing changed. I mean, this is so real. In the sense of just saying, there's truth in all things. There's truth where there is in every religion, to a degree and in some form, if it's kind of hidden there or what. But all religion, all belief, all everything, anywhere and all things aside, well, where's that side that you go to? When you put things aside, well, what's left? Do you see what I mean? All the seasons of life, as they flow through and then come and go, what's underneath? There's just God. Because there has to be something still. I mean, this is physics. This is what is it? This is, science. This is tangible, cold, hard fact. This is truth. This is Jesus Christ. His matter cannot be created or destroyed. Oh, yeah. So where does it go when it seems like it left? It didn't change to something else. Oh, that's the season. The thing's still there. All things are made up of vibration and little tiny molecules and atoms. Yeah, that's God. He doesn't change just because things manifest in different ways. Nothing changes when the seasons do. I mean, it's no different. That's what I mean. All the things out there, religions, beliefs, perspectives, modalities of whatever. I mean, any word you can put on it to describe anything. Well, how you describe in words. There's truth underneath everything. The truth is you're a human being with a mouth to say words. And that never changes, regardless of what words you say. Because you can be in seasons of saying certain things. I said that earlier in this, Sometimes I'm speaking differently than other times. But I'm still the same one speaking. That is Jesus Christ. The truth underneath. The fact that we're just still speaking. Because who is speaking? Oh my dear Lord God. Because I mean that in like talking to God, right? That's insane. The truth is, when we ask who is speaking, if I'm the one doing it, well, I am. Jesus Christ, the truth, God himself, is called the great I am. Because if I'm speaking, well, then the truth is, I am speaking. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. There's only truth, and the truth is Jesus Christ. And the truth is, I'm going to wrap this up. That's what I mean when I say I've been given this gift to speak. All I'm saying when I say that is, is that. All right? So thank you, because this is episode 173, and I'm doing this for a reason. I'm not religious, but I know God, and we all can. We all do underneath. Remember, an episode, title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. That's what God says. That's what he wants from us. He wants us to just remember. Remember that soil underneath all these buildings that keep coming and going. Don't worry about everything that keeps coming and going and coming and going in summer, spring, winter, fall again, and then now we're springing back up into summer, and then, oh, where'd winter go? And oh no, we feel like we missed something. No, the truth is it's just the earth. It's doing what it's doing underneath everything else that gets built on top of it. Gosh. And this is why you need to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. And I have no place to tell you what to do, but I can tell you what is true. The truth is Jesus Christ. The explanation underneath all the seasons of anything that could come and go. Laid out perfectly for us in Scripture. The Book of Mormon. That's all it does, is point us to God, as in that titling, as in the truth that is in all things. Despite all the seasons of lies. How can you lie about something if there was nothing there to begin with? Whatever you're lying about is the truth. You see what I mean? There's only truth, ever, only, always, and that's it. Is that crazy? It's just crazy that you can explain it in a way that doesn't seem like you explained anything, but it fully clears everything up. Again, literal. In Scripture, right? And then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Everything's cleared up with truth. Because there's only truth. Man, you don't even need an explanation to truth. Because truth is, right? The thing that you get hit by, as in the earth. Through all the seasons of anything, the rising and falling, you always come back down and hit the ground again. Because the truth is, well, literally the earth. The truth is tangible. The truth is real. The truth is the only thing that is there when everything else that could leave does. And that's why we say leave. Because in the fall time, when those parts of the trees come off, they are leaves that fall. There's only truth. Where do words come from? I mean, it's just crazy. All the seasons of people using words incorrectly or trying to make something be something else will always come back to, well, what was it? How did it get here? Because it wasn't here at one point, and now it is. So go back to the very beginning, and there it is. God, I mean, it's so crazy. It's literally, I mean, it's God, literally. The truth is God. You don't even learn the truth of God. You learn that the truth is God, because that is the truth. Holy cow. It doesn't end. It's this cycle that no matter how you try to work your words around anything to explain anything ever, it always just comes back to Jesus Christ. And not in a way where you have to understand an idea of an identity of a person named Jesus, but Jesus is our depiction of the Christ. That's not his last name, by the way. I've said that before, certainly, on In the Image Clothing Company podcast, but a lot of people don't understand that. I didn't, until I did. Yeah. No. Jesus, the man, is our explanation of the truth of Christ. All the seasons of who people want to say the man of Jesus is or isn't that come and go, everyone's perceptions of who Jesus the man is, well, Jesus is the Christ. And that's the truth. The truth is Christ. We get to that by our explanation we've been given by God of who the only begotten Son, named Jesus, who is a perfect example and depiction of God, or the Christ, actually is. Okay? There's only truth. No religion ever can, hold it or claim they've gotten to it. You can get to it, but it's not that you that did it. You just uncovered it under the leaf litter, under the snow, under the fresh buds that are dropping off the petals, and there's the earth that was there underneath of all the seasons, like it is in the springtime or the summertime, or whenever it is cleared up. Again, can we clear some things up? Okay, get out the brooms and the shovels, and let's clear off the truth that there's just earth underneath everything else, anything else, and all things, that the seasons drop on top of it. Oh my gosh. It's such a roundabout in the most perfect way. This is what it means when God is perfect. Any explanation of everything always only comes back to the truth. And the truth is God. I mean, it's such a never-ending roundabout. Like what? The 4 seasons. It always comes back to the one that it started at. Because if you were born in the spring, it always comes back to the spring every year. But if you were born in the summer, it always comes back to the summer every year. If you're born in the fall, it always comes back to the fall every year. And if you were born in the winter, it always comes back to the winter every year. No matter what season you start in or get to ever, it always comes back to one eternal round, or the truth of God, Jesus Christ. I mean, this is the truth of all things. It's so crazy that it's this obvious, because I've had moments when it certainly seemed the exact opposite of obvious to me. That there's just truth out there and never ceasing. It's impossible for there to not be truth. Otherwise, nothing could exist. But we have so many seasons in our lives, you know? This is amazing. I mean, this is what you find when you go to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I'm not religious, but it's the place of the fullness to the degree that it can be full, run by just sinful human beings. But yeah, of the truth. I mean, this is what you find there. I mean, it leaves me, man, dude, it's the place to be. You know, that's what I say. I've said it before. Ah, man, it's just crazy, man. I didn't tell you anything in this. I don't know how to say that. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what truth is. It's like this thing you don't have to put any words onto because it's already there regardless of if you speak or not. That's exactly what I mean. We have seasons of stuff. There's only truth. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. God, right? I mean, that's the whole thing is what else can we give God besides a hallelujah, besides a thank you, besides a praise, in whatever way we can do that could possibly try to mean something, because he's perfect and we're not. Anyway, I mean, this is something I could just sit and discuss, and that's what I do. It's funny for me to even say that, because that's why I'm here. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm 173 episodes into doing right now. But it's funny for me because out of anything and everything and all things you could talk about in life, or have a season of caring to care about, even, right? I like to go a step farther than just saying that you could care about, but anything you could care to care about, underneath it all, there's still just, well, what's the truth? Regardless of if you really care about anything, you're still there to care or not, or to have somebody care about you or not. All the seasons of emotions, underneath there's still just truth. So anyway, we've got 4 sides to In the Image Clothing Company. All right. You know what this is now, In the Image Clothing Company podcast. The main side of In the Image Clothing Company, one of our fourths, we allow the human body to work. We do it through clothing mostly. We talk about standing, sitting, walking, breathing, eating, sleeping, hydration, all the things we do as a human being. The human body has a center line, though. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw naturally stabilizes the entire body, not just the head, but it has musculature from the lower jaw up to the crown of the head. And our body's center line has to remain on Earth's center of gravity. Clothing gets placed onto our bodies and it has to stay centered, fit correct, where I'll discuss when I talk about where clothing sits and where I do, if I get to, right? Storage space, maybe, possibly, I think we're good. But if it cuts, it wasn't me intentionally doing so here, okay? But in addition to staying centered and fitting correct, our clothing needs to be made from 100% natural materials, because our bodies are. There's only ever natural until unnatural things get made by human beings. And that's one of the things that are only decades old as of today's date, is unnatural materials in clothing. They damage the body by just seeping into the pores of the body, the holes in our skin where we sweat through, but also they usually bring stretch with them. Unnatural materials, and every muscle in the body only contracts. Everything gets closer to the center line. Muscles connect from the outside of the shoulder to the sternum in the center and the front, and from the outside of the shoulder to the spine in the center and the rear, on both sides of the body. We've got a neutral position to everything in the body, and it just has to remain. So, there you go. We give a lot of free modifications in clothing, and we discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth. Again, I'm just really, really, really good at explaining things. That's why I'm here, truly. As in, that's why I am here on this earth. Yikes, truly. Okay, so there you go. That's a lot of what we do on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. So In The Image Clothing Company clothing will always just allow the body to work. There's no possible way to train the body designed by God and not us. We don't have a say over how it could work, okay? There's an episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast titled We Have No Say, one titled Allowing the Body to Work, one titled We Didn't Design It, We Can't Decide It, one titled Designed to Work, right? We've got a lot of episodes just speaking on things as they are, bro. To the best of what I can, I am imperfect. Catch that im before the word perfect, okay? I am not perfect, nor will I ever be in this life. No human being could be except for Jesus Christ, okay? We get perfected through him after we die. We just discussed this, man. It's just life. It's just the truth of all things. Yeah. We have another fourth of us in the Image Clothing Company Poodles. We specialize in purebred standard poodles. We do the same things for dogs as we do for human beings. Feeding, hydration, all the mechanics, meaning the workings of the body of the dogs, we allow them to be natural, okay? Letting dogs stay natural is the same as allowing the body to work. Phrased differently because it's a whole unique fourth of our company, but it's encapsulated with all of our fourths as a whole in the Image Clothing Company. So, neutral, natural, and normal are synonyms within the functioning of human bodies or dogs, and the goal is natural under all four sides of In The Image Clothing Company. So, breeding dogs properly, we do it. We register dogs under however you can register dogs wherever you are on the earth. Let's make this universal because that's the point of saying it. Furthering good bloodlines of dogs, though, keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes, keeping dogs healthy. These are the things we do under In The Image Clothing Company Poodles. Debunking a lot of myths, advocating for dogs and all the ways that we do that. Things for the environment, and man, talking about being a good owner of a dog, interacting with our dogs as the owners because we're holding leashes and our dogs are so much shorter than us. And so, the height of a dog versus the height of an owner can actually take a toll on our bodies if our dogs are quite small and it's hard for us to get down to them, in times and places for sizes of dogs. But we really get into a lot of this stuff, man, on In The Image Clothing Company Poodles. So, dog products, keeping collars centered, is a must for human beings. The last episode 172 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast, is titled In The Image Clothing Company's Dreaded Collar Seam Mod. It's really modification, but I ran out of space on where I was typing that. It wouldn't let me type any more than that to put modification, but yeah, keeping our collars centered around our neck is a must. There's musculature and tendon opposing the center line of our neck. I said tendon, but tendons, right? Whatever it is that's there functionality-wise in any location in the body, there's a center line. And dogs are no different, although their collars are usually much more imbalanced than ours as human beings. So keeping our dog collars and leashes, harnesses centered, these are the products we'll have on In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, really InTheImageClothingCompany.com. But information and products apply to all dogs under In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, except for the things that are very specific to poodles. So, but we do a lot. We can work with a lot of beautiful organizations and companies doing similar things with dogs that we do as time progresses. A lot of it's getting people into nature and getting people to break down to their authentic self through dogs, because that really helps. Animals, with therapy animals, service animals, and things like this, we do a lot in these kind of avenues through what we do with our poodles, okay? Standard size is the big dogs, okay? They're pretty big, really. 70-pound, give or take, dogs, okay? 60, 65, 70, around in there, okay? Pounds. Big dogs. But that's beneficial for tall people like me. I'm 6'2" tall. As the founder, I discuss a lot of reasons why big dogs, large-sized dogs, are actually very beneficial. Okay. We do a lot, man. in-person events, poodle parade events in the state of Utah here, the United States of America. Bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, and we will do a lot of beautiful things in nature. Okay. Mostly just for fun. I'll give information where I do on letting dogs stay natural. Family reunion type approach. Just hanging out together. Okay. So stick around for the poodles, man. In the Image Clothing Company music is another one of our fourths, and I show the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter that neutral wrist straight out from our forearm down our pinky finger. The rounding in our hands, we talk about just having good length fingernails on our fingers and toenails on our toes, fully to the tips, cut relatively flat on the tips so that we can just stay in that nice neutral gripped position of the wrist with our fingers tracking in line. So we discuss these things through music, but then in addition to guitar, I play guitar. I do a lot of lyricism. You heard a lot within this. This was really similar to just about exactly how Metronome Madness is. Well, that's what I do, is I just, speak freestyles like that, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ. Just the truth of all things. I just give the insights and the wisdom that I've acquired in life through poetry. Yikes, that's humbling. Did you hear my voice when I said that? Holy cow. And my laugh, oh my heavens, so genuine. I love that. Yeah. Man, all right, there you go. I mean, that's a lot of what we do. But I make music, I sing, and I do what I do, man. I'm Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, in this for life, bro. So stick around. Stick around, dude. All right, clothing for everybody has to sit in the same location. Man or woman, tall or short, skinny or fat, any age or from any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. Pants have to be entirely above our hips at what's called our natural waist, where we bend side to side at our spine, and then our bodies can just work, with our pant waistline sitting slightly higher in the front than the rear. That's just how we'd have our pants on our bodies, the way that our bodies would be without pants on them, and then just stay neutral and vertical on Earth's gravity, okay? Activated as a whole is the only way the human body can ever work. There's just everything there with a role to play. You can't drag around dead weight. And yeah, man, there you go. Everything's got its function for a reason. In addition to pants, though, we wear tops as human beings. The tops that we have seams on top of the shoulders that actually need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. When I'm sitting like this, my top seams will slightly move, right? Just for context. But our shoulders follow our shoulder seams, and they connect behind our head with the musculature, okay, and to our spine. So there you go. The edge seams of our tops need to be as close as we can get, right to the edge of our shoulder functionality. It's a joint of material and a joint of the shoulder, okay? As close as you can get to that meshing, then you're not trying to work around your top, and your body can just work, okay? Two things we have as prerequisites under In the Image Clothing Company to not alter the body. We weave ropes across our feet, and we call them shoelaces. Episode 171 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast is titled In the Image Clothing Company's Shoelace Technique. It's what I've been doing and showing since before In the Image Clothing Company was even a thing with a name like that. And, there's only one way the human feet are shaped. That's how we weave ropes across them without altering them, okay? We tie shoes as well, and we tie them evenly over toward the centered line of the body on both feet, okay, opposing the center on both sides because there is a centered line on Earth's gravity. So there you go. Secondly, to shoelacing, we remove all tags from clothing. Anywhere a tag is placed in clothing, it's either causing a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate, and then compensation tries to happen in a human body that can only ever work all together, okay? Now, we talk about a lot more than this in a lot of ways and very deeply. Tags are one of those things, though, that didn't even exist just decades ago, like unnatural materials and stretch in clothing and these things that are new. to us, in this modern generation and around this time. So we deal with a lot of things we just never had to as human beings on this earth before they came. Again, seasons. The truth is, that thing that doesn't change, we're all human beings placed on the same earth, designed by one God, Jesus the Christ. But then as we're here, things change as life goes on. Year by year, generation after generation, there's all sorts of different things we could label as seasons, and God never changes. So thank you. Today is the 27th of October, 2025. My name is Evan Strong. As I said, I'm in this for life. I am the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, and I'm very grateful to be able to do this. Yep. Thank you.